I'm with Derek here. He was a member of Team Ontario last year, and next year he's going to be playing volleyball at Queen's University. So he's going to be demonstrating some of our low back exercises. Having good lumbo-pelvic control is very important, not only because you're landing and you've got to absorb the forces, but if you have any instability through the low spine, that could cause low back problems down the road. So what we're going to do for the first assessment exercise is the front plank. Now I know many of you heard about the front plank. You may have tried it before and it seems like a basic exercise, but when done properly for the right amount of time, it can be very challenging. So we want to make sure our athletes can hold the plank for 2 minutes before we progress them to the next exercise. So Derek's going to demonstrate the front plank. Now, we'd like them to go on their wrists. If you do have any wrist issues, you can come into the clinic, we'll fix that up, or you can go on your elbows. So first is he's keeping his head neutral, which is good. He's not dipping his head down or extending it back. Now through the shoulders, he's pushing up through the shoulders as high as he can. Good, instead of sagging through, which we don't want. Good, okay, so he's pushing up. Now, mid-back is neutral. So he's not sagging down, good, and he's not coming up too high where it's easy. You gotta find that neutral spot. Either film yourself, look into the mirror, or whatever position you find the hardest is probably the right one. He's also squeezing his glutes at the same time as well. So you want to make sure that you're kind of shaking, and if you're doing that properly for 2 minutes, keeping that core engaged very strong, then that's what we want. So if you pass the self-assessment of being able to do the front plank properly for 2 minutes, the first basic exercise you can do at home is the shoulder taps. So you get into initial plank position, but now you're introducing some movements and some dynamic stability. So Derek's going to get in position. Now I'll have this dowel to make sure that the 3 points of contact are in at all times and to make sure he's in alignment. So his head, his thoracic spine, and his sacrum. We want that neutral spine to be off. Now once he's on there, he's going to be touching each of his shoulders slowly and controlled to become more unstable, which is good. Now she's doing it perfectly. Now what he would do if he's struggling is he might shift one way to be able to get it. The dowel would fall off if he was struggling, if he wasn't in balance, and he would also start raising his hips to give himself a little bit more help. So those are 3 things you want to make sure you're watching, and you don't want to be shifting. You want to be as still as possible while holding this exercise. If you're able to do the shoulder tap, the next exercise of progression is the walkout plank. So with each exercise increases difficulty, but it also helps you prevent injury once getting back on the court. So this walkout plank, Derek will demonstrate. You get back into the plank, they all start in the plank position. So you want to make sure the head is neutral what it is and his shoulder blades are protracted up. Perfect. Now he's going to walk out slowly and meet his hand each time. Good. That's a perfect now amount. You want to go and then come back very slowly. Now you'll find that the ab is really extended when you're forward, but that's mimicking a volleyball hit when you're up front. Good. So what he would do if this was incorrect is his shoulders again would start dipping in, and as he came forward, he might overextend himself, and then the core would start to sag, which we don't want, or it would come up high as well, and he wouldn't be able to make it back. Okay, so those are things that you want to make sure that you're doing when you come back, are very stable, very still. You're engaging your abs, your glutes, and your hamstrings and keeping everything in alignment. An exercise that we like our athletes to be able to do while they're playing or before they start playing again is the bear crawl. We find that this is a great dynamic exercise that challenges all part of the core while you're moving. So Derek's going to demonstrate the small step bear crawl. So first he's going to get up and his feet are going to be on the ground and his knees a couple inches off. So right now he has a neutral spine just like we did with the plank. Now he's going to initiate some movement forward and try to brace the core as you go. Good. Now he's done this and he's great at this, so now he can start going bigger steps. So you want to start small and then go big. Great. Now the same thing is everything is still in alignment. So things you want to make sure you don't do is when you're going too far too fast, you might become off balance, you'll lose your weight. So Derek's on purpose showing what can happen if you progress too fast too early. His hips aren't in alignment, his shoulder blades are becoming protracted, and his head's not straight. So what you want to do is make sure that you have all those things in alignment and stable before you progress. The last progression of this exercise is to do it properly but going backwards. This challenges the neuromotor connections, and it's something that we're not used to doing. But we like putting challenges in our bodies because on the court we're faced with those all the time. So what he's doing is keeping that same alignment, and he's moving his opposite arm and legs at the same time. It's not one and one, it's the same time, and he's keeping his knee nice and low and his head stable. So is his hips and shoulder blades. So make sure you film yourself or you can see yourself in the mirror to make sure you have objective measures.